What's up with my PA family? It's your boy L, aka Gargamel, by the groupies. And as you already know, man, we're here trying to tell stories of caution for the youngsters and things like that, even for the reoffenders so they won't go back into the system, right? And as you can tell by the good old caption, that uña, that thumbnail, Conejito, Conejo from Hawaiian Gardens, Danny Blajos. So let me get into the story, man. I actually expressed this story before a couple years back, but on this channel it's not dropped, so I'm gonna go ahead and proceed and remind everybody of it with extra details as well. So I'm gonna take you all the way back to the county jail, man. um uh it was F27 main jail, Santa Ana, Santana, as we know it, for those of you that are from my city. um and we were there doing our time, chilling, willing and Dylan, just passing time. And Conejo, Danny Blajos, like I said, man, the Blajos families in Hawaiian Gardens, that's where he was from. Obviously, you guys know the history of Hawaiian Gardens, the organization members, uh, Weddle Buff from HG from the Gardens, uh, was the founder of that organization. So that that's a historic barrio, and a city as well. So the Blajos family has a lot of individuals from that neighborhood. They're a well respected family, you know. So I was in the county jail with my boy, you know, and when you're in the county jail, especially in a dorm setting, man, we're in there doing our thing. We're in there doing our thing, playing pinochle, chess on the bunks, whatnot. You're trying to kill time. You're trapped in a big ass dorm setting. So everybody's in the back of the bunks. We have the back area against the wall. Um, working out, whatnot, going to the day room, reading the newspaper. I remember the dudes, the what is it, precious moments dudes used to always wait for the door to open after the newspapers got dropped off so they could cut off the little precious moments thing. And dudes used to fight over that. And it was always fun to me because like not everybody had a girl in there, but those who did, oh my god, they were trying to keep that relationship going. So that's why you used to fight over that, because they wanted to send that to their girls. And I digress. I'm just trying to give you a little, I guess, a little feeling as far as what we were going through. So that's the environment we were in. So Conejito was there with me, man. There was another homie from Costa Mesa, from Little Town. When he left, he gave me the llaves of the pad, so I was in charge of the pad at the time and everything like that. And my bunk was way to the back of the dorm. And I say this story, I express the story again because I want the family to have closure, because there was a lot of rumors going around as far as how he died, and things like that. And I'll express and I'll explain as I go along, and I'll make it more than clear once again how his demise came about. Now, I do have another video of him coming, where he had my back situations, because I got into it with a lot of shit with him, and he always had my back. He was with the businessman. He was there fighting the case, man. He had several co-defendants. They got locked up right there in Cyprus. Obviously, they're from Hawaiian Gardens. That's LA County. For all intents and purposes, they would have gone. They should have gone to LA County, but they did it because the jurisdiction belonged to Orange County. City of Cyprus and Orange County is borderline with Hawaiian Gardens, Artai, that area over there, Southeast LA, all that. So that's why he was stuck in Orange County fighting a life case, and we were both fighting a life case, so we were there stuck for a long ass time. That was my boy. And So let me get to the nitty gritty as far as what happened. So my boy used to, just like everybody, I was fucking with them Seroquels, man. You're in there, you're trying to do this, that, smoke some weed, drink, do Seroquel, anything to get our minds off shit, right? So he used to sniff the Seroquels. I used to take them in pill form to help me go to sleep because I had a hard time sleeping. But he used to take lines of it, whatever. We're just in there just doing stupid shit, right? And we did that for several months. Like I was there with them for over a year. I was there with them for over a year, and we used to be in F 28 on top, the top tier. That I came down to the bottom, and so I knew him from the top, talking to him from tier to tier, and then I met him when I went down there, and that was my boy. That's my right hand man. And a lot of dudes used to trip out because he's like, man, how is your right hand man? You have a Yavis to the pad. How is your right hand man from Lois? Why don't you have somebody from Orange County? And to me, it's just like, bro, okay, what you say? Homeboy had been with me. We're all Sureños, you know what I'm saying? All right, for the South. Um, and to me, it's just like, as long as I didn't set trip on dudes from LA or not, dudes from Orange County set trip on dudes, LA set trips on other dudes, vice versa. But I wasn't one of them cats. So I embraced him fully. He had been with me there the longest. That dorm kept rotating. So that was my boy. So that's why I made him a right hand man. So we're chilling, man, doing the same thing that we've been doing forever, like I just explained. And the night before this happened, there was no exception to the rule. We were doing the same thing that we were doing every day for months. And he took a little line of Seroquel. I took my 500 milligram pill, which is a lot. It's crazy. I used to take in a cup. I used to put like freeze dried coffee in a cup like this. I used to put this much freeze coffee, and then hot water, and I used to drink it just to wake up. Um, we lay down. We lay down. He lays on his bunk. I lay down on my bunk. And at the time, I was reading the Wheel of Time series. I was reading this series of books, 1,000 pages each book, and that was my routine. Anytime I would lay down, boom, I'll get my book out, boom. This is like late at night after lights out, everything. All the camaradas are there. We had a few camaradas up that would stay up. Then another camarada would stay half shift overnight, half shift into the morning, things like that. Uh, if we had a batch of pruno going, then we would pay the woods shots of coffee, soups, chips, whatever they wanted to keep the batch of pruno going in the showers. Like I said, my bad guys. I'm just trying to explain the atmosphere. Not trying to ramble on, but I'm just trying to express it, paint a picture. So I'm reading a book, man, and he's laying down. He's not a reader or anything like that, so he's just chilling, ready to go to sleep. And he looks at me. Um, he's like, "Hey, Looney." I'm like, "Hold on, bro. I'm reading, Looney. I'm reading, dog." And he kept calling me. I'm like, "What's up, dog? What you want?" He looks at me. I look at him, and he looks at me. He's like, "Love you, dog. Buenas noches." And I was like, "Good night, dog." Like good night. You know, and he was very energetic, man. He was very energetic. He was a funny dude. He always asked a lot of questions, man, uh, and rightfully so. Um, whether it be about his case or as far as prison and things like that, he was an inquisitive type of individual, and I wish I could add the story that I want to add on this video, but I'm gonna do it on the next video. So he said that to me that night. And I'm like, buenas noches. Boom, he went to sleep. I kept reading for maybe about another hour or two. I used to get stuck on those books, man. I used to get stuck on those books. So I kept reading. And across the way was a dude from Family Mom, from El Toro, Bo. Um, I can't remember who was next to him, let alone who was on top and the bottom of us. He had a bunkie. I don't remember who he was for the life of me. I just cannot remember. And we went to sleep. I finally crashed out. And in those dorms, they would wake us up like at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning to do the count, the cuenta. And as I previously said and mentioned in other videos, we would have to go stand at our place of count. Like the bunks that we slept on was not our bunk area that we were assigned. So we had to get up twice a day, morning count and afternoon count, and go to our assigned number, whether it be at the end of the dorm or not. So that's the only time you would see a black in our area, an Asian in our area, a white in our area, and vice versa, us in their area. The time that it took for us to stand in our place account number wise. So Danny, Conejito, Conejo, he used to stand, he was two numbers ahead of me. So he used to literally stand on the other side of a bunk. I had up in this bunk, and then he had the other bunk next to me. You know, so like I said, right here, and then on the other side for the next bunk. And they used to come down the row saying the last names: Lopez, Garcia, fucking Beaumont, Whitaker, whatever the fuck. And we would have to say our last three of our number, our booking number. Um, and and I'm gonna give you guys this footnote because I remember, digress a little bit. There was another individual, his Theo from Hawaiian Gardens, older cat, that passed away in Orange County Jail. That's why the family felt like there was a big conspiracy theory going on. And while they were doing count, um, they actually asked when they said Conejo's name, Blajos. He said his last three, and the deputy, the sheriff said, "Hey, are you related to the other Blajos down the way?" His uncle was in D and D module. He was like, "Yeah, that's my uncle." And the sheriff was just like, oh, "Okay." He kept going, finished doing the count. He finished doing the count, right? So at that point, he left, whatnot. And I'm just giving you an example of how they used to do count. So that morning, going back to that morning, um, we fell asleep. That going back to that night, I mean, we fell asleep, and boom, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning came. Boom, they turned on the lights right before they start counting, calling out the court names and things like that. Um, I want to say about 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes before that happened, something woke me up in my bed. Something woke me up, and it was moaning. And I was like, uh. And it was, guys, keep in mind that I was on Seroquel, knocked the fuck out, with earplugs in my ears, and my current and everything. It was so loud that it woke me up. It woke me up, opened up the curtain, and I looked over to Conejo's bed. And he was like this, laying down, his arms, like he was just like this. His arms are hanging from the bunk because the bunk is like real thin. It's literally the width of your body, nothing more, you know? So he was like that. And to me, it's like he was having a bad dream. He was like. So what I did was I grabbed my pillow and I just tapped him in the arm. One of his arms that was closest to me, outstretched. I just tapped him in his arm, boom, 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 boom. And he's like, and he stayed quiet. He stopped moaning. So I rolled over. But when I did that, before I tapped him in his arm, I looked across the way and I seen Bo. He was from family law and everything, but he was Indian, era indio. Like I'm talking about, like he was an Indio from India, from the east. And he was looking towards Conejo, and when I looked at him, he was like half asleep. He's like, "Hey, is that fool right?" Or so that's when I tapped him in his arm. He stopped moaning. I went back and I went to sleep. Literally like 5 minutes later, I don't even think I went to deep sleep. Cuenta, count time, count time, count time, cuenta, cuenta, cuenta. They say it in English. My routine was I would get up, sit up, and then I'll hit him in his leg. Come on, bro, let's go. To wake him up because he was a deep sleeper. I'll hit him in his leg. Boom, get up, bro. And I'll go to my count spot. I did the same thing that morning, not thinking any different. Woke up, boom, hit him in his leg, and kept going. I went all the way to the side of the dorm where our count spot was. Remember, like I said, he was literally right next to me on the other side of the bunk. And I was sitting there half asleep, like, damn. And then I heard a commotion. And I looked towards the area, towards my area, because he wasn't next to me. Like I said, I still didn't think nothing of it. But he wasn't next to me, and I looked over there, and I seen a little crowd assemble. And man down, man down. The homies were saying, man down, man down, man down. And I was like, what the fuck's going on? So I started walking over there. By this time, the cops were running in. The sheriffs were running in. Halfway through the dorm, that's where they walk in. They blocked me off. So I stayed back. I couldn't cross no more because the black guys were in there. And they're dragging somebody out. They're dragging somebody with the mattress, dragging him out. He's still on the mattress, but they're pulling the mattress because she's heavy. And it was my boy. It was Conejo. They drag him out to the tier. Drag him out to the tiers. The rest of the cops come in like, hey, lock it up, lock it up, lock it up. Meaning, go to the back of the dorm. Everybody pile into the day room, to the day room area. And that was a decent sized day room area. Everybody piled in there. But on the side of the day room, we had a vantage point with bars so we could see on the tier. And we could see Conejo on the tier, on his mattress still. And the nurses got there eventually, and they started giving him CPR. They're giving him CPR, trying to revive him. At this point, if you see somebody get a CPR, it's for a reason. And the crazy part is that, in Orange County Jail and in LA County Jail, at that time, they were killing convicts, inmates. They were killing them. And so it tripped me out. And look, the overnight shift deputies were still there. Keep in mind. So one of the overnight deputies that was probably new there, was probably earning his bones or whatnot, wasn't one of them assholes that I knew that worked during the day or whatnot. He literally moved the nurse to the side, like, boom, let me get it. Let me try it. And that dude started doing CPR, Conejo, doing CPR. For me to see a deputy sheriff in Orange County trying to save an inmate, convict, that dude was pumping, sweating. Come on, don't die on me. Like, that dude was literally fighting for Conejo's life. Literally. And I remember, I was like, damn, I felt mixed emotions about that shit. I was like, damn, what the fuck? Like, we would never expect some shit like that, And they tried CPR on him for like 40, 45 minutes, bro. Like, that was a long time. Some of these situations may seem like eternity, but they were there for a long ass time trying to revive him. I mean, this is an older sheriff, so he's probably like, man, this was a youngster, man. Can't let this youngster die. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just crazy. Now, this is what happened when I told you that I tapped his leg and I went straight to the count. His bunkie got down after I was already gone. He looked down. He told me that he heard Conejo take his last breath, like, and he started turning blue. And that's when they called man down. So when they called man down, I wasn't there. That's what he told me. I don't remember what his name was, man. He wasn't even from nowhere. He was a resident dude, man. Hey, if you see the story and you remember the story, man, I would literally love to hear from you and anybody that was there. Not only from Family Mabo, you too, bro. Um, so they ended up taking him, and we were there. We're stuck in that cage for hours in the day room for hours, and it wasn't until the homicide detectives came in and started asking, like walked up to the bars, like, "Hey, what's up, guys? I'm detective this and that." When I heard that, I was like, "Fuck." Homicide detective. I was like, damn, my boy passed away. And I walked to the back of the day room and bro, I put my head down. I don't even want to tell you what I did. Um, couple of dudes came around me, more than a couple of dudes, like, man, you all right? Um, and then what transpired after that, they pulled every single person from that day room. This is the whole dorm room, like 60 something dudes. And they interviewed every single individual. It took hours, man. It took like 6 to 8 hours, from the beginning to the end. And I want to say maybe about 2 months later, a month or 2 months later, probably three, somewhere around there, a dude from Hawaiian Gardens that was related to Conejo ended up landing an F-28, which was a tier on top. And he calls me. He was talking to somebody, but that somebody called me and like calls me to the bars because the dude that called me is like, hey, this is asking about Conejo, this and that. And how can you guys do this? Anywho, I go to the boss, like, what's up, my boy? And he introduces himself. And he's like, hey, what's up, man? How can you let these black guys fuck kill my this and that, my homeboy? I'm like, what? What you mean, homie? Ain't nobody let nobody kill nobody, bro. Ain't no black guys put their hands on Conejo. Ain't no fucking cops put their hands on my boy. That would have never happened. I would have died right next to him. You know what I'm saying? If it was one of those things where they put hands on him, they pulled them out to the hallway and whatever, and none of us were there, we can't help that. But he's like, he died in the dorm. He didn't die in the hallway or in the elevator and the stairs where they usually try. That's where they kill dudes. Hell no. And I took that shit personally at that time. I was like, what, homie? Like, nah, homie, hey, you got this shit fucked up, homeboy. That's not how I went down. And the family had a lawsuit against them. Understandably so. You know, the family didn't know. Look, I don't tell this story to try to help the deputies or that side or not. I'm simply speaking the truth. And this happened December 20th, 2006. It's almost 20 years ago now. And it's crazy to think that it's been 19 years. 19 years and some change. 19 years and like 4 or 5 months. That's crazy to think that. It seems like fucking yesterday. But in the interest of transparency and truth, I feel like I need to reiterate the story because honestly, like the family, I don't blame them for thinking that the cops had a hand in the murder or the death of their family member. That's my boy, man. That's my boy. And you know, to this day, they probably won't believe me, but this is the truth. This is the fucking truth. And like I said, I don't blame him for thinking that because, like I said earlier, the uncle, that, from what I understand, from what I heard, that was foul play. That was foul play, and they put hands on him. And we heard that. We heard that. That's what we heard from the camaradas that were just down the hallway, down the fourth floor. But when it comes to Conejo, Danny Blajos Jr., I think it was Jr., no, there was no foul play. If anything, like I said, I'm gonna tell him the story when we got into it. Not me and him. We got into it with some other dude, and we handled business. That was my boy right there, man. That was my boy. May he rest in peace. May he rest in peace, man. Because you know, even though he was looking at a life case or whatnot, you know, he was still young. You know, you got the SB 260, 261. Like he would have got out no matter what. You know, especially now being like what almost 20 years. Like he would have got out. And they weren't even locked up for a murder. They were locked up for like a shooting, an attempted murder, or something like that, which is no small case. But I'm saying like he would have had action for sure. You know, but that dude gets at me, he pushes up on me. I'm like, nah, homie, ain't nobody put hands like Conejo, bro. There was just no way that was gonna happen. And you know, he had that whole LA mentality, like, ah man, we from LA, you from Orange County, you guys let this one. I mean, fuck you, homie. The fuck? We handle our business, bro. We ain't gonna let no come out of that fucking get smashed up. Got me fucked up, especially with the black guys. The fuck? You know, so that's what happened, man. Um he nothing. He died in his sleep. I personally feel like if you were to ask me, I never heard the I never got any information because I mean who the fuck's gonna give me information, right? Um Medical examiner, you know, obviously the coroner, the one that did the mortician, everything, um, the autopsy report. If I were to take a guess, I think like he maybe got a seizure from the Seroquel, or it was some demon shit. It call me superstitious, call me this, call me that, but he was moaning in his sleep, man. He was moaning in his sleep shortly before he passed away. So, like I said, maybe he was having a seizure and he died. Because I heard of people having seizures from that Seroquel. But yeah, man, I hope you guys enjoyed the story. I appreciate every single one of you guys tapping in for this story. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Shout out to my channel members, David Caballero, Mr. Smiley, Dan the Man, Below, Jonathan Gonzalez, and Frogger. Appreciate you guys. There is membership. There's all that. I'm coming with other videos. Love you guys. Appreciate you tapping in as always. And I'm outie. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. But bottom line is rest in peace to Conejo from Hawaiian Gardens, little Danny Blajos Jr. I'm out.